Now joining for the first time, the first team NFL Draft and College Football podcast, we have a young man that I have been extremely impressed with this offseason. I've ended up watching 3 games of him from last year. Breakout star for the SMU Mustangs, who are one of the better teams coming back in college football that I don't think many people talk about nearly enough. I got Elijah Roberts, who is one of the more productive defensive ends in all of college football coming back, led the team with over 10 sacks last year, 12 and a half tackles for loss. Elijah, appreciate you for taking a little bit of time, man. I know it's a super busy offseason, but how's everything been going for you lately, man?
First off, man, I appreciate you having me, of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the introduction. And off-season's been going great. We started last week, started classes this week, so the week's starting to pick back up now. Days getting a little longer, but it's been great. It's my last year, so I'm really just trying to take advantage of every 24 hours that I have because it goes by so fast.
It really does, man. I feel like because I played college, but not at nearly as a high of level as you, man. But like you're going into your 5th year in college, right? Like, is it one of those things? Because I know everyone always tells us this, but we never listen to them. It's like, don't blink, dude, because this happens quick.
Yeah.
It's moving, isn't it? It feels like it.
Yeah. I just tell my parents, man, like high school felt like it went by fast after I was done, but that was only 4 years. I'm going into my 5th year in college, and it felt like it went 10 times faster than high school for sure.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I mean, and I feel like I've told a million people at this point, like, hey, the same thing, like, don't blink. And nobody ever believes you until it's you, And then you're like, okay, it did go by fast.
Yeah.
Well, so I cover a little bit of recruiting as well on top of the NFL draft space. And for people that don't know high school football in the state of Florida, you went to Christopher Columbus in the city of Miami, which routinely puts out a lot of next level talents. And I know that you were a 4-star yourself. So can you just talk to me a little bit about just a little brief into your recruiting process? And obviously you ended up staying in the home state with the Hurricanes.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, Columbus, they've been a great school for so many years. And then my last year there, we actually won the first state championship in school history. So that was great. I just have to put that out there, of course. But the recruiting process for me coming out of high school, I honestly like being a Miami kid, and my pops was a big Miami fan. I was a big Miami fan growing up. Like, I honestly knew that I wanted to be a Hurricane coming out of high school. So that was really the biggest reason why I stayed home. I took visits, to other schools out of the state or whatever. It was just, I knew I wanted to stay home. So that was kind of what led me there.
Sure. Well, and that was actually going to be like my follow-up question as far as like, growing up in Miami, I'm sure the University of Miami was something that was probably pretty close to your heart. Let me ask you a little bit of a different layer to that question. If you didn't end up with the University of Miami, was there another school that was anywhere close? Like, where would you have ended up otherwise?
Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I almost ended up at Florida State.
Okay, man, you almost went to the bad guy on the block, man.
Either them or probably South Carolina. It was a toss up between those two. Besides Miami, coming out of high school for sure.
Love it. Well, so obviously you had to spend 3 years with the program down in Miami, and I know you played a decent amount your last couple years, especially. Just give me a little, I guess, some of your favorite moments at the University of Miami, because like you said, you being a Miami kid, I mean, you did get to live the dream for a couple years there, being able to stay with the Hurricanes, which a lot of people are not fortunate enough to do.
Yeah. I probably say, just being able to play in front of my family and having a whole bunch of family members come out every week, like I don't think there was a game where I didn't have over like 5 people there just because, it's so close. So that was probably like the highlight of my time there. And then, being able to play against like a Florida State, being at Miami and playing in those rivalry games, and just wearing the U on the side of my helmet was something that I wanted to do as a kid. So I'm actually glad that I was able to do that.
Well, so obviously you bet on yourself after the 2022 season. You enter the portal, and then you end up with SMU, which, I mean, I guess the rest is history at this point, right? You're an all-conference pick last year, 10 sacks, like I said, highly productive. Take me through, I guess, a little bit of, Elijah, the process of transferring schools and why ultimately SMU was the best spot for you.
Yeah. So obviously, how the portal, man, it's crazy. Like, there's so many people in the portal every year, and me leaving, that was like one of the first few years of the portal just opened up. So I wasn't too big into like, the NIL stuff and to, like playing for like a certain school because of, like the name or whatever. I really just wanted to get on the field, whether that was, in this conference, even if I had to go down to D2 if no D1 team wanted me. Like, I was willing to do whatever it took just to get on the field because I really just wanted to play it. And I felt like if I could play, like, meaningful snaps and be, like, you know, like a guy who was counted on and be a guy who could be trusted or whatever like that, I felt like I would be able to produce. So, and then, you know, I entered the portal, Coach Coop and some of the guys here at SMU, they were there at Miami my first 2 years, I believe. Sure. Yeah, my first 2 years. So I believe there's probably like 6 coaches from that staff here, probably more. But so it was just, you know, it was an easy transition. And then I took my visit with a couple of guys who I played with on Miami. So we all, you know, took our visit together. And then it just felt like, it didn't feel like I was coming from Miami to Texas. It felt like I was kind of still in Florida. It felt like I was still home, being around the people here, the coaches here. So, yeah, honestly, and then, you know, it just worked out in the best way for me. So,
well, and I was going to ask because I knew about obviously the youth flavor in the coaching staff, obviously with Coach Lashley now as the head coach down there, who spent some time as the offensive coordinator at Miami. How special is this program that's being built down there, Elijah? I'm very curious because you all obviously mentioned you got some big time players. And I know we were talking beforehand as far as like the transfer portal was good to you guys this offseason, getting some high level talent. Coach Lashley, who I think it was already considered one of the best offensive minds in college football before he got to SMU, he is steadily building that program into something special, in my opinion.
Yeah, Coach Lashley, man, and also credit to our DC Coach Simons. They have both been great since I've got here. Great people, coaches, great player coaches, I should say. Great, you know, just like coaches, like they get on you when they have to. They know like how to relate to the guys, to the players, like, and then they treat us like pros. And he always says, as long as you give it to me, like into return, like I'll always, you know, like I'll give it back to you. So he's been great. He understands, you know, moving up in a conference that we need depth, and that's what he's done with the transfer portal. Like we're so deep on the D-line and O-line that, you know, like I believe that we'll be able to do something really, really good. And even after my time here, I could really see SMU going really, really far under Coach Lashley, Coach Simons, and the coaches that they have there, because it's really something special coming.
Well, and what's it feel like to be a part of that change? You mentioned obviously going up from a G5 program now to a Power 4 program moving forward here. Like, what does it feel like for you to be a part of that important wave of players that helped them be able to make that type of jump?
Yeah, it just feels like, it feels crazy. Like, and you know, I don't know if you're, you know, holy or whatever, but I feel like God works in mysterious ways, because it's just like how we went from, I came from the ACC, didn't really play how I wanted to play, and, you know, I didn't really get the snaps that I really wanted to, came to SMU, and then now we're headed back to the ACC. Yeah. It's just, you know, it just feels great to be a part of that. I'm so blessed to be a part of this. You know, being here last year, winning the championship for the first in about 40 years at the program. So it was just like, it really feels like surreal.
Well, and I'm curious now, going back to the ACC, like you mentioned, it sounds like you're just very grateful for the opportunity that you have in front of you. But is there any part of you, though, that's also like revenge is coming now, right? Like I didn't quite get that opportunity, but now I have that opportunity in front of me.
Yeah, you know, like if you know me, like I'm the biggest competitor. I'm not the biggest social media guy, so like I don't really post a lot. And even like everyone around me tells me, you know, like get involved more with, you know, social media and stuff, but I'm just so like, you know, but I honestly feel like, you know, like you said, like I have the biggest chip on my shoulder headed back to the ACC. I feel like I could really do some really good things in the ACC, some great things in the ACC, but, you know, talk is just talk until I do it. So I just can't wait for the opportunity.
I'm really curious because, like I said, Coach Lashley obviously is a great offensive mind, and you saw it at Miami already with like De'Eric and Tyler Van Dyke and those dudes. But then now you're seeing it in high octane with Preston Stone and those cats that you now don't have at SMU. What are the challenges as a defensive player on the other side of the ball to face that type of offense, high octane spread? Like, what are the challenges that presents Coach Lashley's offense?
Yeah, I know for us, facing that offense every day is tough. And like you said, Coach Lashley does so many different things, and so many, like, he uses so many different players at different positions, and then on top of that, they're a tempo team. Like, he's a tempo guy, so he goes so fast every time he scrimmages. It's like he almost hates the defense how fast he goes. It's just that's definitely like a challenge for us, but it honestly helps us, especially going back. Well, or for me, going back to ACC, for sure there's going to be a lot of teams who have, running quarterbacks, who have fast-paced offense. You're not going to really see a lot of huddling and stuff like that. So it definitely helps us.
I'm curious because you mentioned obviously about it. It sounds like you have the spirituality aspect of you, right? And the religious backing a little bit. I'm curious because, again, you're a player that you feel like you didn't get enough, the reps that you wanted early in your career. And then you take a chance on yourself. You go to SMU and you have a breakout season. And now you're returning as one of the top, more productive defensive ends in all of college football. What does that feel like for you just to know that after all the hard work you've put in and to finally get rewarded with the opportunity and then to produce on the other side? How rewarding was this breakout year for you? And now how much does that make you want even more going into 2024?
Yeah, man. It's just a blessing. Like, it just shows you that, prayers work, that, staying faithful to God works like it does. And then obviously on top of that hard work, like you said, so much time I put in, so much hours that went, I wouldn't say unnoticed, but I wasn't able to, showcase it yet. But I was still working. I was still putting in my time, just hoping for that right chance. And then, when the time came and it got here, it was just, like everything just played into my hands. I was able to win the starting job. I was able to, be counted on. The coaches here just told me, listen, just go play. Like, if you mess up, you mess up. But it is what it is. Like, if you, and Coach Tibbs, he's one of the best coaches I've ever been around because he just allows me to be a playmaker. Like, if I see something on the field and I want to, take an inside move, if I want to, he'll let me do it. Like, there's no backlash, there's no penalty from it. Like, there's no, all right, you come out of the game. He understands that you need confidence. Like, any player needs confidence, young player, old player. You have to have confidence for you to grow as a player, for you to grow up, even as a man. Like, you need to have, you don't want to be pat on the back every day, telling what you're doing good. Of course, you want to be coached, but just hearing that every now and then, just knowing that you have people who trust in you and believe in you, I feel like that was one of the biggest things helping me be the player I was this year.
So when I was doing a little bit of scouting on you, I was looking actually back at my notes from the couple games I watched. And the things that impressed me most, and I just want to kind of talk about your play style a little bit, is that whether you were stand-up position, whether you were in a three-point stance, whether you were working from a more inside and kind of reduced alignment, or you were working more in an outside alignment, you're strong, dude. You're super physical. Like, that speed to power element is impressive. And I know you're listed between like 275 and 278. Like, obviously you're a big bodied end in this. I'm just curious, as far as your play style, are there alignments just on the defensive line that you feel like really showcase your skills? Is there a system? Is there a scheme? Like, how do you see yourself as a football player in general?
I definitely feel like I could play, all throughout the line. I do feel like first and second down, I'm better as a 5 technique, as more of an edge guy. And then I do feel like on third downs, I can win more probably out of 3 technique, which I can win more on the edge as well. That's what I want to put on tape for sure more this year, is more edge wins and, rushes off the edge. But for sure, I feel like I'll just, first and second down, I could do what I need to do on the outside, set the edge, stop the run, and then third down, bring in more speed guys on the edge, and then have me bump inside against a guard, which, should be a favorable matchup.
It should. Well, let me ask you, the art of pass rushing. I feel like most people just think it's like a one to counter move, right? Like your first move, then you hit a counter, but like there is a mental process in pass rush. I literally played the position myself, and when you're talking about film study, just kind of talking about a preparation perspective, what are you watching for an offensive tackle as far as set points? What gets them in trouble? Like, what are you trying to decipher as far as what's going to win on Saturdays?
Well, me usually, I don't know how other guys do it. I kind of like to look at, okay, who is he playing against? Because everybody rushes different. Like, I can't, I'll be lying if I said I could do what every other guy does on the field. So it's like, okay, if this guy is more of my play style, okay, let's see what gave him trouble when he played this dude. Let's see how he looks on the 5th play of the drive when they're going fast and they got a first down. Let's see his body language on the, the third quarter, and see if he gives up the pass more. Let's see, so that all that stuff comes into play. Like, if he turns his shoulder on the second step or the third step, is he a puncher? Is he a leaner? Like, so all that stuff literally just goes into play, and then you just kind of have to have your notes down. Like, I have my notebook with me, and then it's just, okay, the left tackle, okay, first downs, on run plays, he kind of likes to lean a little more. So he kind of will tell me if it's run or pass. I can kind of use that. I can kind of help my D tackles out. Okay, hey guys, if the left tackle, if he has both hands down, he's looking inside. 9 times out of 10, it's been run. So that's more run heavy. Okay, if it's like second and medium and his foot's back and he's looking at me, expect more pass. So it's just things like that. It's just things that you have to know. And not only for me, for my D tackles, for the backers, even for the DBs. If I could call out a pass play before it happens or tell everybody, okay, look, guys, I feel like it's pass, like, and they could, already get into their drops and not have to worry about run fits, it helps the whole defense. So, yeah, definitely.
Well, so I want to hear about the offseason in two respects. Let's start with individually. You mentioned it already a little bit as far as, getting a taste in 2023 and now the next step of taking your game to an even higher heights. What are a couple things that you've been just kind of focused, lasered in on as far as things that you really wanted to add to your arsenal and make sure that you're the best version of yourself in 2024?
Of course. I've been working on staying more flexible or getting more flexible.
Yeah.
I would say, from my ankles to my knees to my hips, getting looser, trying to get more explosive. So I've been working on more with the coaches at SMU. Then on the side, I've been, working out every day in the afternoon with a trainer, trying to just, like I said before, stay more flexible, stay more explosive, kind of like be as fast as I could be, but still being the big end that I am. I don't want to be too skinny. I don't want to, lose that ability to my game because I feel like I could be one of the fastest and the biggest ends at the same time. With the speed, the quickness, I feel like I could be 275, pushing 280, and still be one of the most explosive ends in college football.
So team-wise, you already mentioned a little bit as far as, getting that ACC opportunity now. After SMU had been building to one of maybe the best G5 program the last couple of years, what is some goals that you guys have now going into the ACC and showcasing how good of a team overall on any level you guys are?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the goal, I feel like every year is to win every game. I don't see why not. I don't see why we can't. We brought in the right pieces. We got guys who gel together, and that's hard to do in college football nowadays. You could bring in guys, but if the guys don't gel together as a team, then it's not really going to work. Especially with the transfer portal, I think we got about probably 20-something new players. So it's just I feel like that is going to help us a lot. I feel like we'll be able to, go in there and just do what we need to do. And our goal, obviously, is to be ACC champs, be an ACC championship game, win every game. But as of right now, our goal right now is just to become a team, to become a complete team, an actual team. Guys who are just like this, who are really tight knit, because that's going to take care of everything. Adversity hits every game, especially in the league we're going to. So we're going to face adversity, and if we're a team, we'll be able to just run through it.
So you as a veteran now entering your final year and now entering your second year with SMU, how have you felt that you've taken that step forward from a leadership perspective? Like how much more vocal or just more of a leader have you been so far this offseason?
Yeah, of course. I'm definitely having to take that role. It feels weird, honestly, being one of the older guys in the D-line room in the team. So, because, I've always been used to being one of the younger guys, but it's just, it's great, man. Even at Columbus, I kind of had to take that role of being a leader, being a guy who spoke. Because, I've been more of a guy who leads by example. I don't really say too much. I just like to, just show everybody, how I work. But you kind of have to be that more vocal guy and, tell guys, okay, you just got to know how to talk to people. So I feel like that's been something that I've gotten better with and that I've, still get better with as the season goes along.
So my last question for you is, this is a little more obviously NFL centric as far as after this next season. So you're a guy that obviously I believe is going to play NFL football, and I have seen your name on multiple spring lists from the NFL. So obviously NFL scouts also believe that you have that type of potential, right? So I'm curious because you have a fascinating journey. You go from 4-star home state kid, staying in the same city at the University of Miami. You end up going to SMU, and now you're one of the best defensive ends on your level, making the jump to ACC. It's a really interesting journey, man, to say the least. What does it feel like to know that in the pretty near future here, you're going to have that opportunity to play NFL football? And how long has that been a dream for you?
Ever since I started playing ball, of course, man, it's been a dream. I just want to make sure that I leave nothing to chance this year. I just want to make sure that I put myself in the best position to get drafted wherever that is, day 1, day 2, day 3. I just want to make sure that when this year's over, I don't have no regrets. I have no, oh man, I wish I would have did this. Oh man, I wish I would have took this time more seriously. So like I said before, I just want to take every day, like literally day by day, to just maximize everything that I can. Because, like you said, the opportunity to play in the NFL is definitely there. It's in front of my face. So I just want to make sure that I could put myself in the best position within that goal right there.
There you have it. Again, joined by Elijah Roberts, star defensive end out of SMU, making the jump to ACC, back to the ACC this year.
Sir.
Elijah, I really appreciate you for taking the time, man. Best of luck on the season, and just thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, sir, Ryan. I appreciate you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thank you so much.